It's that look. It's that look right there. That look like test me, mother. Yeah.
And then there's a little old lady.
Knives for sale. Miyagi gets involved and beats up the kids mercilessly. He just beats them. He kicks one of them in the daddy bags. That's not right.
And you notice later on, he never did have kids.
Oh my God, Loki.
Boy, do I have a surprise for you.
You're gonna need a bigger potion.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to Talk Car. Hope your Tuesday is fantastic. Been looking forward to today. Man, I tell you what, Back to the Future, 40 years, man. It was hard to say that. It was hard to say that over last week. I have to be honest, I've been watching Back to the Future now for about a week. I watched the other two movies as well, immersing myself in a little Back to the Future love. Then I went back, watched the first one again. Mrs. Pops was like, wait, didn't you just watch that? I'm like, yeah, I don't understand your point. Like, I wish we could quit having this conversation. Like, I don't understand. But here we are, talking Back to the Future 40 years later, and I believe the first time this lady has ever seen it. SQUEEKA Mouse is in the house. How are you, lady? What's going on?
It's a Tuesday. Yay! Always glad to be here on
Happy to have you.
And I knew, of course, who doesn't know bits and pieces of Back to the Future at this point? So I knew pieces of it, but it was nice to see it in its entirety. And I did even still have a cliffhanger, guys. I was so excited.
Yep. It's good stuff.
I was able to have to watch the other two now. There's three of them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're good. It's a good trilogy. It really is. There's a big dip in the middle in a way, but it's not so as bad as I think number 2 is in a lot of ways. Its rewatchability is still very solid for me. But I can tell you I had a horrible experience in the theater. It was one of the first times I felt cheated with that kind of cliffhanger. Like, it was worse than any. It was like half a story. Like, it was so frustrating. But as a trilogy, I enjoy watching it over and over again, many, many times. Loki, my friend, here we are, man. Back to the Future, 40 years, brother. Okay, that's hard to say out loud, man. What's going on?
You gotta come back with me, Marty. Oh, great. It's great. This is great. Huey Lewis and the news. Absolutely awesome. We're going to get into a story about that at some point while we're talking about this, because he said no. They were like, Robert Zemeckis and them were like, hey, we want you to do this. We want you to do this movie. And he goes, I don't make music for movies. And they were like, no, we just want to use your music in the movie. And he was like, I don't think so. And then they showed it to him and he was like, I really like that. It's cool. You know what? I'll even make you another song. I'll make you 2. You can take Power of Love and we'll do another one. I'll make a song just for the movie. And he did. Back in Time. I want to get back in time.
In those songs.
Yeah.
Oof. That album, the music, bigger than ever. So, Ironcaster, my brother, we debated in our own private conversation. You have certainly seen Back to the Future before now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is
So
one
making
that
sure. We stressed a little bit, but we figured you had.
it's one of those movies that's been such, so replayed, it was impossible to avoid. At times, much to my attempts to do so. Yes, I've seen this one. I've seen this one countless times, and this is one of those movies that has the cultural thumbprint that you feel the grooves of all throughout Hollywood in a lot of ways. So many things have ripped from this, have parodied it, have just copied elements of it beat for beat. This is kind of one of those definitive movies. Hell, this is one of the definitive time travel movies, if you want to even get more specific with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. At least it tries to live by the rules it creates, which is one of my key elements of tolerating any time travel movie, because most time travel movies have a ton of problems, but it at least tries to live and die by the rules that it creates. So there we go. Let's say hello to this wonderful chat. They're here. They're proud and they're ready to talk hard. Snorty is in the house. Hey to you, you handsome polar bear. Hope you're doing well.
Just for you, Snorty.
I was ready.
Nope, not ready for the Loki thing. Man, not ready. He's always got to get you. And here she is. She's so generous, so sweet and kind. Thank you, SQUEEKA Mouse, generating 5 Hobbs memberships. That's awesome. Matt Cave, Gaming's got 1. Untamed Mando. David Lowe, Drew Danger, and Morning Hayes back in the house. Awesome, man. Great to have all those folks re-upped in their memberships. And yeah, I could be able to hang out with them hopefully more. We're going to do a member stream. I got to do something. I got to figure out how to deal with the post-event that I had this weekend. So I'm going to do something like that. So Slasher Fred's in the house. Is it my calculations are correct? When your show reaches 88 viewers, you will see some serious shite. That is a freaking great quote, the Slasher Fred. That is amazing. That is amazing. Indeed. Good one. Let's see here. What we got? Oh, man, across the pond. Mephisto checking in. Great, man. Great to see you, man. Awesome. Great to have you, man. That's awesome. Hope you're doing well, brother. A lot of back and forth here. Here we go. Huey's cameo in Back to the Future made it even better. It was a good one. It was a great one. It's early on. He's kind of done, out of the way, very Hitchcock. Just kind of done, and we move on.
Well, that was his thing. I don't want anybody to know I'm in the movie. So disguise me, never name me, never give me any credit in it. I don't want it. If you want me to be in your movie, that's fine. But I don't want anybody to know it was me. Well, too late, buddy. We all kind of know it was you.
Mm-hmm. Slasher Fred is guy's first theory on what makes this movie a classic is that it isn't just about a teen who goes back to the 50s, but it's about what if you could learn in person about your parent lives. Yeah, I think there's a lot of messaging and elements in this as far as, many people talk about, let's go back and change one moment in time, or if you'd only done this differently. And it really was a great, for 40 years. I mean, it's really a great conversation starter of what a multiverse is and what would happen if you change one little thing. Like, that's a huge thing for me, for sure, was, people talk about you could go back and do this and that. I'm like, don't think so. It'd be tricky. I have kids. It'd be hard to go back.
How that throws everything off. It throws your entire life. You might not even exist. You might have never been born because you butterfly effect. You mess one thing up. That sends ripples out. Or it could mean that you're absolutely so insignificant that you could go back and do something and it doesn't mean shit.
Yep, agreed.
You never know what quite might happen to you. It might just start to kind of fade away.
Oh, I see what he did there. Wait a minute. We lost Ironcaster. Maybe he didn't join the Halo stream fast enough, and next thing you know, he never made it to Talk Hard.
What the heck just happened?
I don't know. He just disappeared. I don't know who stepped on a butterfly. What happened? Wait a minute.
He's coming.
We fixed him. Someone fixed him. Whew, that was close. Lea Squeaker went back and figured out what happened and took care of things. So.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that with the 88 miles per hour. My first car was an 83 Buick Skyhawk, and the speedometer topped out at 85, and I was constantly running that. I had this group of friendly police officers that would clock me going down this one stretch of road to see how fast we could get her to go. So I'm like, man, she never turned into a time machine. What?
Oh, man. Yeah, great reference. ZZ Top in Back to the Future 3, which is a fantastic cameo. And if you watch closely, as I did today, there's a quick moment where Michael J. Fox's character kind of like squints and leans in like, I know that. Like, there's just this, it is literally like a second and moves on. No beats that has to do with the story or anything like that. Just a character reaction. Brilliant stuff. Mephisto saying that are we talking about Eric Stoltz movie or the Michael? Yeah, we will probably talk about the Eric Stoltz somewhat. Loki and I had a little chat off record about that. Definitely for sure talked about it a little bit. We should go ahead and probably explain that to SQUEEKA at some point here as well. Let me just say hey to Claude, and then let me get down here to Cannoli. Cannoli is back. Cannoli is feeling better, back at things. Thank you, my brother, for being a member and a supporter for so long. 9 members. What a fantastic movie. Timeless and magical. Indeed. So there is another actor. I know, SQUEEKA, you're not totally attuned with a lot of the name actors, but remember when we watched Pulp Fiction that
Yeah.
John Travolta's character goes to the drug dealer's house? He's wearing like a bathrobe the whole time. The guy was kind of like, he looks like a hippie, but he's like a stoner dude. He was the heroin dealer, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he was young, like Michael J. Fox is in this. Imagine 10 years before Pulp Fiction. He actually was the original Marty McFly. So they filmed nearly the whole movie, at least 60 to 70%, right, Loki? We get at least that much. And it was not screening right at all because Eric Stoltz is a more dramatic actor. He's a more serious actor. That there's this little, I don't know, how do we describe it, guys? How do we put our finger on why Michael J.
Because he wasn't fun.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
like
I was
a
gonna say,
fun.
Max Fox has a more fun face too. Like he's just a.
Yes.
He makes you want to smile just looking at him.
So that Michael J. Fox, that fun, that that all that fun wasn't there, and they were dealing with someone that was trying to do like a hard reading of this, like it was the most serious thing in the world, and that smile and all of that just wasn't there. It's just not in the film.
Well,
And
and
they
I feel.
needed.
Sorry, Michael
it's
J.
okay.
Fox had that not just fun, but he had that innocence too. That I don't know what I'm doing, but we're going to do it anyways kind of mentality. And I feel like that perfectly fit, Marty's character of I'm going to just keep going.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. I mean, this isn't really one. If you can find one Ironcaster, there's like a side-by-side shot of Eric Stoltz in the diner reacting to George versus Michael J. Fox's Marty reacting to George, and it's really the one that tells. But look at the difference. Just he feels more goth or emo or something for sure.
Like he just came off of a like he just came off the set of like The Lost Boys.
A little bit. But yeah, it didn't really work, and they pulled the plug, and back to the drawing board they went. So
The fact that this got a sequel and got another movie after that is absolutely. It's one of those things in Hollywood that you almost never see because how much money was spent on this. They did cut corners when Michael J. Fox came in. They did cut corners.
Sure.
They did try and use as much footage as possible that they already had. The problem is they had to go back and refilm things that they were already done filming because they had a new actor in the role. So technically, this should have been a one and done, pump and dump. That's it. No sequels, no nothing, because of the cost. Yet everyone loved it so much that they were like, "We're not just going to go back. We're not going to make just one more movie. We're going to make 2." And they literally filmed 2 and 3 back to back. So as soon as they were done filming 2, all that work went to post, and they went on and kept filming 3. So that by the time 2 came out, at the end of the movie, when you got your to be continued and the credits rolled, you got a preview of Back to the Future 3, and they already had stuff that's still in that preview. Everything that's in that preview is in that movie. So they didn't cut anything out of that preview from the end of the movie. So it's fun. It basically gives you an idea what you're gonna see in 3.
Yeah, I didn't care for it in the theater, though, to be honest, man. I felt cheated, felt chipped. But you know what? At the end,
I was
it paid off.
excited. I was
I
excited. I was a kid. I was excited.
You were a little kid if you saw this in the theater. If you saw that one in the theater. You were what, 10, 9, 10?
I was 9 or 10. So
Yeah.
I didn't see this one.
You would have saw part 2, yeah.
Yeah, I saw this. My parents obviously rented it as soon as it came out on VHS at a little tiny video store in a town they called the city of Deer Park, Texas, even though it's not a real city, but it's so small. It's just a little tiny town in Texas. At J&R Video, we went and got this one night for pizza night. And it just turned into one of our favorite movies of all time. So yeah, Back to the Future.
Yes,
I've
indeed.
been in a DeLorean before I watched the movie. Does that count?
It does count. Mm-hmm.
There was a guy that, when I worked at IBM, that owned a DeLorean and got to go for a ride in it. So I've been in a DeLorean, but it didn't do any time travel.
There's that word again, Marty. Heavy. In the future, is there something wrong with the Earth's gravitational field?
That makes me laugh so hard. I love that part.
There's that word again. Heavy.
Which,
And
again, by the
life jacket part. Why is he
Yep.
wearing a life jacket?
Oh, I don't know if you noticed this, Squeeka. In that scene, look at this life preserver, Bip. This dork thinks he's gonna drown. Right beside that guy is Billy Zane.
Billy Zane. Yep.
So Billy Zane is one of Biff's little toadies that never talks until the second movie. And the only thing he says in the second movie is, "Boy, we can do this either the easy way or the hard way." Click the easy way.
I'm sad I didn't catch that because I love Billy Zane.
Slasher Fred's throwing it down. Did you know that when the movie was first released on VHS, there's a to be continued log at the end of the movie because they removed it from the. Yeah, indeed. So, let's see. 69 Cutlass 105. Ooh, no time travel. I know.
Going too fast.
I know.
186 miles an hour in the SRT-8 Charger.
Wow.
Right after I got it. I still have the video from that because I recorded it on my phone because I am a crazy son bitch.
I got clocked doing 117 in a Ford Aspire. Does that count as crazy?
Yeah, a little bit. All right, so let's see. We'll keep on going here. Chat is blowing up. You guys are amazing. Let's just jump to some of the story first. We'll try to come back. Chat, hang in there with us. I want to get Squeaka's reaction too, because obviously you have so much pop culture references. I mean, there's a mountain of quotes. Obviously, the DeLorean, flux capacitor references, Doc Brown references, commercials. There's so much in there. How was the movie unpacking for you with all of that in context?
It was great. It was so much fun to actually know where the pieces fit. It's almost like you're given piece. It really is like you're given pieces of this puzzle, and you know it's going to be magical when you've put it all together, but you don't really have the rest of it. And somebody goes, "Oh, here's the rest of the box," and you're like, "Yay! I can finish this." So it was kind of fun to put it together.
It's kind of like having that puzzle and that you didn't realize you were missing that piece, only to then like realize it goes here all along. I never realized it.
Yeah, it was. It's such a movie. And Loki and I talked about it briefly. Loki, I think you would agree. This is almost a perfect movie in the sense that there's no time wasted. It just the pacing's perfect. The jokes work well. It's all buttoned up nicely. Like I said, whether you have time travel issue movie with me joining me in that whole venture where I don't like most time travel movies, this one at least all the rules come together well. It works out. I tell you what, that first movie, it's near perfection, man. It's pretty
There
great.
are people that will try and pick this movie apart. Like someone was like, "Oh, it's all BS." Marty has a hairdryer in the scene where he does the Planet Vulcan thing. The hair dryers weren't invented yet. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, did you forget that Doc packed his travel bag in the DeLorean before all that craziness happens at the beginning of the movie?
Yep.
The hair dryer's in that, and that was cut because they didn't want to refilm that certain section because they had wasted enough time, wasted enough money the first time around. So they just did as much as they could. They tried to get through as much as they could as fast as they could.
Yeah, this is another little factoid I thought it's interesting too. Yeah, there was supposed to be an original refrigerator, and there was like, wait, kids will actually die if they try to lock themselves in a refrigerator. So
That was a thing in the 80s. I don't know if
Yeah,
anyone
wow.
remembers that.
Yeah.
That was a thing, kids locking themselves in fridge. I think they even did a Punky Brewster episode about
They
locking
did.
themselves in the fridge.
Yep. You're right. You are
Yep.
right. I remember that episode.
as someone who got inside a fridge, it is hard to get out. Just so you know, as a kid.
I was about to say that too.
Yeah, you did
But
too.
I'm
It
not
was-
alone. Yeah.
I'm glad they changed those for refrigerators because as a kid in the 80s, we did it, and yeah, it was hard to get out. It was like, oh, this is actually not good at all. It's dark, can't get out. Not good, not good. Across the pond again. Hail to Japan. AC is in the house. Hey, brother. Great to see you, my I pray they never attempt to reboot. Now, so the story goes here, which is one of the few sweet spots that at least got us to this point. Now, there's no telling what will happen, but uh, the Bobs own it. Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale own it. They've said no, they're not interested, but there sure is a whole lot of stories that go around pretty regularly. Like every 5 years, there's another story of another actor or some other pitch or something goes through the news cycle. I think it's similar to Goonies. I never really think it's legit. Yeah, I just feel like it's just people Hollywood rumoring. Maybe it's producers feeling out the nature of thing. I don't know. What do you think, Ironcast? Do you think there's any real meat on the bone for people to tolerate a reboot of this kind of franchise? I think it'll happen in like 10 more years or 20 more years after Zemeckis, but I don't think it's going to happen, right now.
So as far as this movie goes, the only story I feel like you really could get out of it, and even then, I would leave it at just a comic book. It's the story about how Marty meets Doc, like how that friendship begins. That's the only thing I really see like going, coming back to revisit this series after so many years having not seen it. Uh, that's the only story that I feel like is really left to tell because we've done everything otherwise. We've gone back to his parents' day. We've gone to the far future. We've gone even further back. At this point, there's really no when you really have left to go.
Have you watched the cartoon?
I think years ago when it was originally on TV.
Yeah, there's a little animated cartoon they made with, they have the train, the two kids, Jules and Vern, and it's silly and cute for kids and stuff. I think it's very similar to the way they tried to do something with the Ghostbusters franchise that, Loki and I were like, it'll be the kid that finds a DeLorean and finds out his dad had these crazy adventures or Doc Brown's, it'll be Jules or Vern's kids or something like that. And, it's really not a hard concept to do. The problem is to do it right. And that's the problem. So I just don't believe it.
I heard a good rumor. One of the rumors I heard, and this was a couple of years ago, was that Doc was everybody comes back, even Michael J. Fox comes back. Doc comes back from the future or whatever, travels, he and Jules and Vern and his wife and Einstein to Copernicus. Sorry, Squeak, I ruined that one for you. That he was gonna come back. I know, Copernicus, right? That Doc was gonna come back and Marty was gonna be ill. And it was basically a movie of, even with all the technology and all the advancements and time travel and everything you've got, there are some things you can't change, and that would be the lesson. So the rumor was that one of his kids was going to steal Doc's time machine and try and go back in time and fix things. And of course, they'd use like a de-aged whatever for Michael. I thought that part was absolutely horrible. You don't want to do that. And basically, they go back to try and fix things that can't be fixed. And at the end of the day, that is a sad prospect for a movie because you're not going to end up with anybody happy. You're going to have people that basically want his character to be okay. And at the end of the day, Michael J. Fox isn't okay, and he can't come back and he can't play. He can't play Marty again. He can't play Marty McFly. Leave it alone. I think Rob and them, they've got what they want. Don't touch it. Don't mess with it. Don't remake it. Don't make more movies. Don't do anything. Listen to what Doc says. Don't take yourself out of any of that. Just your future isn't written yet, Marty. No one's is.
What you make of it.
That was the best. Yeah, your life is what you make of it, Marty. So make it a good one. That's the best advice you can give.
I hate the fact that they've done this to so many franchises, though. I feel like that's a lot of different movies have a main character, and it's like, this is the epitome of this role, and it's like, oh, but we're going to redo it. Oh, but we're going to redo it. And it's like, no, this person did a great job. Leave it be. Leave it stand alone. And just make a different movie. Like, why do we have to replace all of these people and redo what they've already done before? Like, we don't need that.
The problem, though, is ultimately if you look at the way the Hollywood corporate suits will look at these things, they wouldn't be looking at just doing a movie. They want to make like 5 movies. They want a franchise. They want to be able to do spin-offs and do the whole cinematic universe around this stuff. They're never going to be there, even if they were to come back and do that sort of story. No, that's not what they're going to do. They want to be able to have the happy ending that's going to make people want to come back and, you know, go on and have more adventures and, bring the DeLorean back.
Right. Yeah. So as I'm saying that I invented a time machine. I don't know. I'm not capable of that. So good luck getting you home, buddy. It's gonna be rough. I don't have a clock tower. I don't lightning strikes. Snorty says he was doing 200, but he was just chasing seals. So there's that too. So there you go. DJ Ronnie G is in the house. Hey, brother. Cool. Just one of the movie that they made about the anything. That's good. That's funny. It got me. Didn't see that part coming. Slashy Fred with more factoids. Let's see. What makes the movie such fantastic is how Marty learns about what movies were like, because it was a time when America was fighting the civil rights. Like you said, Goldie. Yeah, they slid a little bit of that in there, but I thought that it was subtle and interesting to have cultural conversations. But again, this is why I think remaking this movie is going to be next to impossible, because it's like in part 2, there's all this stuff with an 80s diner with they have Reagan and Ayatollah, and it's like I just can't imagine they can get out of their own way with modern politics and keeping it, because this was more like just references and Easter eggy type stuff rather than like social commentary. So
Your choice of beans, chicken, B.
yeah, Michael Jackson. Oh, that's great. I know.
Welcome to Cafe 80s, where it's always morning in America, even in the afternoon.
Well, I like how they touched on different pieces of history, like the civil rights and things like that, but they didn't like overdo it or shove it in your face. It was just like, hey, this is the way it was back then. And he's like, oh, that's okay. It's going to change. And everybody's like, no, whatever. And it's nice it's a nice callback to where we were, where we are, without it being, hey, like so negative, which I feel a lot of people do these days.
There is a Back to the Future musical. I don't know much about it. Do you know much about it?
I haven't actually seen it because I was going to, but then I was not allowed to because I hadn't watched the movie yet. So I got told no, I couldn't go. But yeah, it's supposedly really good.
The refrigerator thing is still part of chat, just so you guys know. Just update on chat. The refrigerator conversation still is going on. So chat has its own thing. 3 possible fathers. Oh boy, here we go. Yeah, I don't know about all that. Let's see. She's saying not many cars in those days with their engines and back their premium midshift. Oh, okay, yeah, good point. And then Leah, leave it. No remakes, spinoffs, sequels. RDJ. Oh, I know there's been so many people that have been talked about for sure. I think Tom Holland's finally aged out now. We'll finally stop hearing all that as well. Bush is in the house. Great to see Bush. Let's see.
I'm almost as sick of hearing Tom Holland's name get brought up in this stuff as I am with Ryan Reynolds.
I haven't heard Reynolds. Well, Tom Holland was the most recent, but yeah, I haven't heard Reynolds in a while. So
no, I mean just in general. Like I'm just sick and tired of Ryan Reynolds. Like,
oh yeah, fair enough. Fair
but
enough.
10 years too. He's been around 10 years too long for my taste.
Is that a thing? I mean, you don't get just to Michael J. Fox is like Hollywood royalty. He is. Now he's obviously not in the spotlight anymore. You almost never see him. Why? Because he is ill. He has a lifelong illness, and he is not someone that can just, oh hey Lea, let's sit down and do an interview. He has his easy days and he has his really, really, really bad days. And the easy days aren't easy like, you and me would think are easy. So it's not like he can be some kind of figurehead or be in things, but he is. He's one of the last kind of like Hollywood royalty types, kind of like Tom Cruise. You don't get that at all. Ryan Reynolds is like chewing gum. Tom Holland is chewing gum. They get chewed up, they get spit out. That's it. It's done. It's over. You want to be more than that, you got to do something pretty underhanded and dirty to stick around a long time. Apparently, Ryan's been doing some things that are possibly below board, but
Well, I mean, the thing with Michael J. Fox is like it all happened when he was still relatively young, like right on top, and
True.
so he just became this, living legend from that alone, from just sort of the tragedy around this disease has kind of taken him away as being one of these what's sort of almost the last great actors in a way.
He's in a really great 80s movie called Secret of My Success.
Oh yeah,
Anybody's never seen
definitely.
that is one of
Doc
the
Hollywood.
I don't like romantic comedies. I'm not a romantic comedy guy, but there are some movies I absolutely love in that genre. That is one of them. Why? Because it is funny as hell. When he turns around and goes, "Oh my God, that makes you anti-Bira." Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Funny as shit. So,
But I think Ironcaster is right. I think that there's a lot of sort of respecting someone's Parkinson's and the decline and the struggle that they have that kind of created a, who doesn't sort of like have positive vibes or thoughts about Michael J. Fox. And it's going to be a really rough one whenever he does finally pass, because many of us have just grown up with him as a part of our life, this whole time. But I think that's the problem too with a lot of reboots and things of that nature. It's that they're just recycling, these names and getting chewed up by the machinery. And same thing with really Christopher Lloyd's character as well. Doc Brown is not going to be an easy character to see come back. I mean, so watch the certain scenes, and there's a scene I noticed in part 3. I won't spoil anything, Squeak, I promise. But it's the way Doc Brown literally like bends down, like he's almost squatting down, and it's not because he's trying to talk at Marty's level. He's in his zone of the insanity that is Doc Brown when he's totally wound tight in his science mode. And we get a lot of tastes of that, especially in the first part of the movie where he's kind of proud and nervous and anxious, videotape everything. And then later, as we're seeing things really come to its climax with the lightning scene in the clock tower, the zaniness of him hanging on the tower and the wire. I know there's still moments. I guess we could nitpick it. We could say all this, but I don't know. I used the word Loki when we were talking, and I stand by this. This movie is the pinnacle to me of charming.
yes.
It's a sweet, fun, charming film. It's got everything I need to have a good time. And I'm hoping they drop it in theater. I don't know if it's in theaters again this year or not for the anniversary. Because we did Goonies, and Goonies was a great experience seeing it in a big theater again. And I'm hoping the Back to the Future does as well, because that'd just be a blast.
I liked how they kept Doc, like they kept him the same, but you could tell there was a difference between the past Doc and the future Doc, and I loved the change. Like they didn't keep him kind of written too much the same. He fit in his time period. Like he was just. I loved how well written Doc's character was.
Perfect. Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I think that Ironcast, if we were to dissect the Doc Brown character, we truly do believe he is the earlier version of himself, and we don't feel like that ever really gets tainted or messed up with.
No, in a lot of ways, it's like the different era versions of his character. It feels like it's just this. It's like he doesn't change throughout any of it. It's like he's always been this kind of this eccentric scientist who's got dreams bigger than anyone else could think of.
They did use prosthetics on the 80s Doc in the first movie to like age him up a little bit, and they didn't use that in the 50s. So what you're getting in the 50s is just him. What you're getting in the 80s, he's got some prosthetics on, which is why they do the joke in 2 where he like takes his skin off and
Right.
does that
The
little
regeneration
thing.
clinic. Yep.
Yeah, I went to a regeneration clinic, Marty. And you're like, oh wow, okay. Well, they were almost an inside joke because no one knew like they aged him up. I couldn't tell. What do you think? He's like, oh, you look great, Doc.
We don't want to spoil too much, Ironcaster, but yeah, there's a quick little joke about this is how I look, and basically he peels the mask, and it's pretty much the same. It's really funny. So the guy keeps going about how
That was my only complaint, I think, was the prosthetics on like the mom and the dad, like and the aged Biff and things. Like That's my only minor complaint is I'm like, oh, I kind of feel like they could have done it a little better, but at the same time, I don't know what the budget was or what they had. So
Yeah.
And most likely they had to do that twice.
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
now that I know that, yeah, they had to do it twice.
Yeah, I think that was the issue too, where the budget probably was manageable, but when you factor in the fact that this shoot just went on, double time, there's no way we got what we got. So still a lot more love from Michael J. Fox talking about, just how much he's represented great resilience in the face of some real diversity, and then of course, she's talking about how Alex P. Keaton from Family Ties, that revolutionary character that made him a star. In fact, we were talking about how the production was sort of sandwiched in around his work on Family Ties. He literally just slept in the truck that was moving him from set to set, from shoot to shoot. So the story about that, excuse me, was crazy. I to this day, I still will never forget him talking about that. It's crazy. Fred saying, I think if it had made a part 2, tremendous sequel, is that it's first ever Marty getting agitated, being called a coward, the chicken, the baby yellow. Yeah, I know that's like a theme that runs across the franchise, but they handled reconciling that really well. That was kind of a bigger thing too in our era growing up with that. Being a kid, we were like, it's a big deal called chicken. Now it seems kind of silly because kids are doing so much more crap on their phones than we were. So
The Tide Pod Challenge.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Let's see.
Don't be a Greta.
You guys are spoiling a lot of stuff, so we could have to stay out of comments because you guys won't stop talking about 2 and 3. Knock it off, folks. He hasn't seen 2 and 3 yet.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's not a problem. She can just come back in time and get these after she sees it.
That's true. Very true. I will say the other thing too that's really funny is he had learned how to play the Johnny Be Good song. So sure, they dub in. They do an overlay of the music and the singing, but he actually knows how to play it. So the attention to detail, we talk a little bit about that with other movies and how modern stuff keeps letting us down. This movie is just right full of attention to detail from Principal Strickland, in his timeline. Did that guy have any hair? The way that they handled the decoration, set design, costuming for the 50s. And even, I don't know, Loki, the social commentary with the mom, right? Finding out she's drinking, smoking, and I know it's not the first time I've been in a parked car with a guy. It's like, oh, wow, that's some really good social commentary for the 80s about our parents.
Well, not just that, but the psychology around all of that. So there's that scene where, they kiss and she's like, why do I feel this just like, feeling when I kiss you, almost like I'm kissing my brother. That she's got all these feelings for him. She's got all this love for him. She's got all this. Oh, isn't he just dreamy? She doesn't understand that that's her boy. That's not that it's. She's so young. She doesn't know how to separate those feelings because she's never had those feelings before. She didn't have a kid. She hasn't brought a kid into the world. She hasn't experienced that. So she's mistaking infatuation and desire and need with that motherly instinct to protect your cub. She doesn't know, she can't quantify that. And I almost think that it's a crime that we never got like a little bit of like his mom knowing. I mean, you see them like standing out there at the end of the movie where they're looking at him and Jennifer and watching them, but I almost wish when they turned around and walked back inside, they would have been like, "Do you think he knows yet? Do you think did he seem like he just got like they know he went back. However they want to qualify it, they know that Calvin Klein is Marty McFly."
It's funny you say that because Bob Gale has always asserted that they don't remember. Like that's one of the ways that the time paradox and the destiny and the fate stuff kind of can work itself out, and all that is that the remembering this random person from their when they first met, they kind of remember the name, but they don't really put it all together, and it kind of keeps those elements of the conversation, I think, at bay. But I just love the fact that it still feels very family friendly. It feels very genuine about how a family would react and respond to everything. Right. And I just, the proud parents and, and then of course the young girl who's just in lust and then something's not right here. And just, I thought they played everything in a really, really mature way, especially for a film that's kind of like considered like a popcorn type movie for sure.
Yeah, and I like the callback to like some of the jokes that he would make about his family members, like when he goes back in time and he's like, "Oh, was it Uncle Joey?" He's like, "Oh, this is
Mhm.
you do like being behind bars, don't you?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." So I liked how they did little past callbacks with him and little jokes that nobody really got, but he got.
Well, I'm hopeful that you'll watch 2 and 3 relatively soon because there's just nothing but layers and layers of Easter eggs and callbacks between the 3 movies. Anytime you watch the trilogy again, you're just going to constantly find more little nuances, even if it's just the way a character, like Billy Zane's character, even if it's like a little piece here, a little piece there. Oh my gosh, the attention to detail is just extraordinary. And I think that Ironcaster, that's because we're nerds for that. You and I are like these, like we would knock people over to be the head of the line for the nerds of like costume design, set design. It's like that's us to a core. And this trilogy is just hard, even when they couldn't pull it off great with special effects because what they were trying to do was very ambitious for their time. They really were at least trying to be faithful and be good.
Yeah, it's such a super tight movie. Like I can't think of anything in this film that's ultimately been wasted in terms of like every scene, every little bit matters. From just like little bits of dialogue, we're seeing these little nods back and forth. Like there's been a great care and attention to detail from so many of these elements just put throughout the movie. I mean, like you were saying earlier, Loki, about the hair dryer. It's like, well, you could easily with that you could easily justify and kind of brush away any idea about whatever he might have had that might have been out of place. It's like if it was on his person, if it could have fit inside that suitcase, we can easily say it was in the suitcase.
That's right.
And there are little things that would have been interesting to see play up, like if someone brought up the whole like the money that he leaves behind, like when he goes to pay for something, where they might like
his coffee in the diner. He has his change is sitting on the counter when he runs out of there. That means all the coins he had plus his guitar pick are sitting on the counter of the diner when he runs after his dad. So all that money's future money that is just sitting there that he left there. That's a great call. I didn't even think about that. He leaves all his change in.
So if anyone bothered to look down at the year on those coins, they might have realized this is a 1972 nickel. This is a this is a 1968 dime.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't. I have to look that up. I'm sure someone's gone down that rabbit hole. I don't want to spoil anything for SQUEEKA, but for me, it's like the brain snaps in Back to the Future 2 when you realize there's this quick little sequence, just a few minutes, where there technically are 4 DeLoreans in that moment in that universe. As you're like your brain hurts. Like, wait, hold on a minute. How are there 4? Yeah, it does. So it's like this franchise, I think, is also kept alive a little bit by those kind of conversations about time travel and would you change something, and are there really glitches, are there not, are there really time paradoxes, are there not, and then like you were saying, SQUEEKA, just all of the brilliant work with characters and how entertaining they are, how real they feel. Just I think it's just such a great film for that reason, for sure. Hail to Zax. Did say hail to Zax? Make sure I did. It's good to see you, brother.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions, was about the money, because I was like, did he steal money to do that? Like, because that's always been one of my things, like for time travel, when you think about things, you're like, okay, how do I make money in the past to get things to bring to the future? You know, like I've had that conversation of, hey, I'm just going to go back in time and buy all these Star Wars toys or whatever.
You know how
And
you do
like,
that? There's still money around from then.
Yeah, I have probably half of it in my closet. And I go,
They do address it in the third movie. So in the third movie, there is a quick moment where Doc...
Second.
Is it second? Oh, it is the second movie. Yeah. You're right. Second movie, there is a quick moment where Doc does address the money issue at least a little bit. And not just, it doesn't address what happens in the first movie, because like you said, he does go to the diner and whatever. So there was a possible moment there. But they at least, again... I feel like back then when they were in the writer, this movie went through, I don't know, dozens of drafts and dozens of revisions. So people were trying to pay attention to those details. Yeah, Fred, we did talk about the cartoon series for a minute. Yeah, the line about you, my mom has the hots for me. Like, yeah, I know. So great. Great lines. Uncomfortable awkwardness for sure. Yeah, the density of the destiny. I know.
Density of destiny.
So good. Let's see. One of the popular moments is when Marty's trying to explain to Doc about the president, right? Reagan's an actor. Yeah. And then, of course, with the video, it's like there's comments about, oh, of course he'd have to be an actor because of all this video stuff you guys do. So, for sure.
Yeah, president has to be on video all the time. Yes.
Hail to you, Penny. Go ahead.
I did get upset at the end because I thought Doc died.
Yeah, we knew.
Yeah.
I
We
was
thought-
like, no, he died because he was so adamant about not reading the letter, and then Marty gets there, he doesn't get there in enough time, and I'm like, oh no, that was the whole reason for you coming back 10 minutes earlier. What? Oh no, Doc. And then I guess I blanked. I didn't realize there were sequels at this point until somebody told me later. Yeah, there's more than one Back to the Future.
That actually gets explained in 2. How he got the letter. So you'll see at the very end of 2, you'll see why he got that letter. Why the letter survived and why it was taken back together.
Oh, I thought he just kept it.
So Squeeka, I
He
got
ripped it up. He rips it up. He rips it into pieces.
That's right. I did. Well, but my brain goes, oh well, he taped it back together because he was too curious. Because this is Doc.
That's probably where they were going, but there is an actual like, okay, now I get it. I get why the letter's there. There's more to it than.
I think that these are people like Loki and me. We'd sit around in a writer's room and go, we need to really address these. There's a whiteboard of these issues. That's another issue. Put it up on the board. Someone's got to figure that out. Ironcaster, you're on that. How on earth is a letter? Okay, now this is an issue over here. Now, how do we deal with that one? And you button up your universe, you button up your franchise, you make things work together. And by the end of the trilogy, you feel really solid about everything. You really, really do. Go ahead, Ironcaster.
You did have a whole lot of uranium,
Plutonium.
plutonium, multiple trips.
All right, say that again. I'm sorry.
Oh, there was a whole lot of plutonium, so multiple trips.
Well, I mean, I think that the irony is, in a world where he doesn't make it back in time and Doc does die, there's plutonium in the suitcase. The Libyans have just burst into flames. Just put plutonium in the time machine. Just go back and fix it again. Like, just, you got to walk back to town again with a suitcase full of plutonium. But you could at least go back again and try again 10 minutes even earlier because the Libyans are going to come by or something. So the plutonium does pose a little bit of a problem. But they try to make definitely had to deal with getting rid of the plutonium factor with the future movies. And by the end, we have Mr. Fusion, which, by the way, was a great thing to do for that era when we're all about the environmentalism and recycling. We're trying to get everybody on all of that in the 80s. So it was like a huge thing.
Recycling was new. Recycling was a new thing. And hey, you know what? We can just create fusion now. So just drop a beer can in there and that'll give us enough power to... It's a fusion reactor on your car.
Doc, this road ain't big enough. We ain't gonna be able to reach 88 miles an hour.
We don't need where we're going. We don't need no roads.
Hey.
I'm like, I know that line.
Well, we're going. We don't need roads.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. Squeaky, do you have like a favorite part where you were like, oh man, this was just the best?
Oof. Gosh, that's hard. Because, I mean, it was such a fun movie the whole time. Like, nice. Oh, I kind of like the part where he meets the... Sorry. He meets the past Doc, and just, I kind of like the past Doc. I think he's really cute and silly. But I love the whole movie. It was... You'd laugh and then you'd be like, oh wait, what? But it was like it wasn't just 100% like just straight comedy and silly one-liners. It was it was just such a good flow. Like I don't, the whole movie. Can I count that as my favorite part? Like
Oh,
I
I
really
understand.
liked watching the whole
I think
thing.
we feel that way. I think that's another reason why we want to make sure we threw this your way right away on Talk Car. We kind of bumped it up for that reason. We want to make sure that we got you hooked because I love to feel. I love the feeling that we can enjoy something like this because this is a treasure. Let's just be honest. This is a cinematic treasure. It's such a great experience. You're going to watch this movie, however many times, and you're always going to feel those kind of emotions and stuff. I have a hard time picking a favorite moment. I think my favorite moment is probably at the end with Doc hanging on the arm of the clock, trying to figure out how to get the thing off his leg, and then he has to slide down, and everything happens in this quick little moment with the lightning strike, and just I don't know. There's just that quick moment that's just it gets me every time. I get so excited, I get so happy. I don't know.
I love the band. I love the band scene. I love the scene with the band, both scenes. So you got that first one. And SQUEEKA, did you figure out who the guy with the megaphone is?
Yeah, that was Huey Lewis.
So yeah, Huey Lewis, and the fact that they are playing "Power of Love" at the beginning, and he's the one who's like, "I'm afraid you're just too darn loud. Next, please. Send in the next band, please." I love that bit, and I love the fact that he goes up. This is your cousin Marvin Berry, because everybody knows, right? Barry.
But he goes into like the Chuck Berry, not only the song, but also some of the antics. The dancing around was, an amalgam of 3 or 4 artists, and obviously a lot more rockers and stuff like that too. But
it isn't until he gets carried away and goes full 80s that they're like, okay, what is he doing now? They love the Chuck Berry. They love that, but it isn't until he goes full 80s and he's like that they're like, okay, what is he doing? And that's because those are supposed to be the parents. Those are the parents that are like, oh my God, that's nothing but noise. That's not real music. While they love the Chuck. I mean, that's brilliant.
Perfect,
you guys did a brilliant job. Give us that look, where he's like, yeah, I guess y'all aren't ready for that yet. But your kids are.
I love that part where he's like, your kids are gonna love it.
And they're like, he's such a weird individual.
I will tell you too, one of the things that's also super special about this franchise. So I've been lucky enough to meet Christopher Lloyd and Biff Thomas Wilson, and I've been able to meet a couple of them, and they have there was a big clock tower displayed in DeLorean. They also were just very appreciative of their fans. They somehow felt like they got it. Like they got the fact that people are going to love this movie and talk about this movie forever. I can either lean into that and enjoy that experience with them and not be bitter and jaded that I'm like typecast or something. Like, now, admittedly, Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd really never were. Lea Thompson probably is a little bit, but I think she had enough of a career otherwise, and she's fine.
Lea Thompson.
Actually, though, apparently Michael J. Fox, he can't go anywhere without being recognized for this. There's a story from the little trivia where he was in Tibet, and a couple of Buddhist monks came walking by. They look over and said, "Marty, Marty."
Mm-hmm.
Marty.
I mean, there's no chance these people would ever. I mean, Michael J. Fox will forever be. But again, same thing with Christopher Lloyd. I mean, the Doc Brown stuff, and there's just no way. But they've leaned into that, and I think that so I know I took my daughter. We met Biff. Okay, look at this great scene. It's just this great moment. Sorry, go back to Chuck Berry and the great moment.
Anyway, so we got this.
Oops.
And this.
Ah, yes. Sorry, girl. It's just a little too loud. It's a little too loud.
The fact that he was like, I don't want my name in the movie. I don't want anybody to know. Dress me up, make me look like a geek, whatever. I love the fact that he's like, I want no credit for this. If you want to throw me in there as an Easter egg, that's fine. I'll do it. But I don't want any credit. I love that. That's so like not up your own ass of what we get today. Today it'd be like a special guest or some stupid shit. They'd be promoting the hell out of it. Oh, he appears as the
and it'd be on Twitter every day for months.
No,
So this is
I don't want anything. You
yeah.
want me in there, fine, Easter egg me, but don't make a deal out of it.
So this
What a
is really
dude.
we totally skipped over the fact that I know you guys have to just love the fact that the full 1950s sci-fi cliche with the comic book, and he's the alien, and he's mutating, and he's Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan, and just my goodness, that stuff, just it's just wicked awesome, wicked awesome,
Extraterrestrial from the planet Vulcan.
right? And then there's the whole, Peabody's tree farm reference, and then of course that's the Peabody farm that they're on. It's like it's going to breed pine trees, and Christopher Lloyd has this great expression on his face, and so good, so good.
Well, to
I
be
did
fair, is there
not.
any scene that Christopher Lloyd doesn't have a great expression on his face in?
Not in this franchise, man. In this movie, in this franchise, he's so good.
He's so animated. It was so. I just even like the on the clock tower looking at the ropes, or when he first shows up at the house, or like when he's telling him about the time travel and how excited he is, and like down to him hitting his head. And I loved all of his facial expressions. Well, one of the coolest parts is knowing all of the lore and just the snippets and things like that. You have this image of, oh well, this is just one of those things that everybody's really into. And what if it doesn't turn out as well, or it doesn't withhold the test of time, and it's just not that big of a deal anymore. And it was really awesome to go and watch this, and it is all that hype. Like I feel really bad I didn't catch it back in the day, and I knew all of these references by heart like people do. So I love that it does stand up to the cult following it has now.
There's an interview that Danny DeVito did for Taxi. If anybody remembers, or it was the
Yep.
TV series Taxi, right?
Yep.
Not the movie, but TV series, where he was talking about how he was talking to Christopher Lloyd, and he was like, "How did you come up with this? And how did you think about this? And how did you?" Because I mean, they're dealing with being cab drivers. Christopher Lloyd at the time was a cab driver. That was his like side job. That was his hustle while he was doing Hollywood and TV and all of that. And he told Danny DeVito that. He said, "Look, I'm just, I drive. That's what I do, man. I drive a cab." And he's like, "Well, you're way too good for that." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, you're this great actor and you've got all this stuff." And man, and he told him, he said, you've got to take this thing because you do such a good job at it. You've got to take this thing that you've had of, well, I am a taxi driver, and apply it to all these other things. And what do you mean? You gotta imagine I am, the mad scientist that's gonna come up with a time machine. I am, and he didn't say those words, I'm paraphrasing, but he told him, you've got this talent. You're gonna be your comedic genius, your gold. You've got what it takes. You just need this thing to be able to relate to all these other persons like you relate to Taxi. And I believe he took that and he ran with it. Christopher Lloyd took that and said, "Well, if I can play a taxi driver on TV after being a taxi driver, I can be anything." And he took it and he rolled with it.
Yeah, he just is so iconic. And I know, like, so when we were talking to Thomas Wilson about it, and we were talking about his favorite parts and things like that. He goes, "What do you think my favorite part was? It's so obvious." I'm like, my daughter's like, "What?" She's expecting all these Biff references or whatever. He's like, "They paid me to ride a horse. I got to play cowboy." So, like, the idea that these actors are like, "Listen, I was willing to do anything." He was willing to try anything. Why not? They'd already earned their trust. Like, the first movie is so good. He proved that I could just be completely into this vision and it was just going to pay off. He could be a douchebag 1 minute and, the heavy the next. And, it was fine. It's going to work. It's okay being the bad guy. People were still going to love him for that. And they did. They did. There's not a resentment. There's not a nastiness towards Thomas Wilson for being Biff. And it's the Tannen family is the antagonist, and it works out great for us, the fans. And I think it's phenomenal experience. So,
well, do you get Back to the Future? Do you get the same Back to the Future without him? You
I
get
I
the
think
same. I don't think you do.
yeah, I think it's really hard to imagine an actor who can be as fearless and trusting of Robert Zemeckis, who says, "All right, I'm going to do these next two movies, you studio, but I'm only interested in doing them if you also allow me to push the envelope with some of this technology and aging characters, and putting an old and a young character in the same scene, and those kinds of things." Like it feels like the right cast and the right people. It's just, again, we talk about this all the time. Lightning in a bottle. It's lightning in a bottle. Like the right people were willing to try the right things at the right time, and it just worked out. And this movie set the stage for imagine if they chose a different car. What if it had just been a regular type car? The DeLorean is like this extremely odd, exotic vehicle. Your friends didn't have them. It wasn't like you were rolling up in high school in 1984 and you had friends that had DeLoreans. You might see one very rarely, but I mean, this was so cool that this was the car they used for sure. Things
No,
like that.
the movie wouldn't have been as memorable if if they used a Ford Pinto.
I don't know. There's a sequel idea for you.
Mm-mm.
No, not at all. A gremlin.
I got it. Shark to
No.
the Future.
Oh, I'm
No,
surprised there's not
no.
a Shark to the Future. Oh.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing Shark to the Future.
No, we're not. No. There's a couple shark movies that have been promoted lately, and I'm just like, dear Lord, what is happening to the universe? Like every time I turn around, it's another shark movie or another. I was like, it's the winter. What are
It's
you
his
saving your-
generation.
They're
And blame it
obsessed.
all on his generation.
They're obsessed.
I like the fact that it was a DeLorean because I feel like that fit the Doc's crazy personality. Like it wasn't a run of the mill car. It was not your, I mean, typical. I don't remember what was up and coming in the 80s, but Trans Am Mustang kind of car. It was, nobody knew about it, and I feel like that fit the Doc. Like he was conventionally unconventional.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, chat. You guys are amazing. Yeah, different things. He did a song about people here at conventions too. AJ is here too, man. Great to see AJ. Enjoy the movie. Didn't know it was a real car. Yeah, man. Yeah, isn't that crazy? I think that's an interesting take, AJ. I wonder.
Well, you
how many
don't
people-
see
Yeah, they don't-
many modified versions of this car that look like it does in the movie. So the actual car doesn't look like that. It doesn't have the big exhaust fins and all that jazz
Right,
on
yeah,
top
yeah.
of it, all that extra shit.
Yeah, it definitely is a lot more generic looking in some ways, except for the doors and stuff. But yeah, who wouldn't want to retrofit your DeLorean though? It's like,
There are whole clubs of people that get together
yeah.
to do the conversions for these cars.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's super cool. Every little detail. I can't be critical of this movie. I'm really struggling with the score. I'm interested to see how you kind of rank a movie like this, because my rewatchability is off the scale. I rewatch the trilogy every year at some point during the year, and I was with you, Ironcaster. I'm gonna start with you too, because you said what I was thinking. I don't know how to critique a problem with like the timing, the pacing, the edit. I don't have issues. So I don't know what to throw stones at here. So let's start with you, Ironcaster. We're gonna score something like this.
This is one of those rare, like, I would. This is one of those rare movies where I would dare say it is a perfect film. Back to the Future, even if we put aside the other two, put aside the fact that this is one of a trilogy, even just as a one-off, this is a fantastic film. There is so much to enjoy about this. This has some of the most iconic characters we've gotten in cinema. Doc Brown, Marty McFly, even Biff. There's so many little elements, all these little moments that have gone on to become some of the most iconic moments in cinema history. They made the DeLorean one of the most iconic film cars of all time. Like, I would dare say it might even be one of the kind of last super iconic cars out there, because I can't think of too many more that have come along since then that are as iconic as this.
The Cybertruck is probably the closest thing to the DeLorean. The Cybertruck is our DeLorean of this age.
So what you're saying is when we get Back to the Future Part 4, it's going to be a Cybertruck?
I hope not.
Hmm.
I saw a Warthog conversion of a Cybertruck. That thing looked badass. So it's like the Halo Warthog, but it's a Cybertruck, and it's got like the bigger profile tires. It's got the chain gun on it. I was just like, wow, that actually looks really good. I approve of that Cybertruck Halo Warthog.
I am
You know-
seeing some painted more regularly now, and that actually helps as well. Just to take, just to have it feel more like a normal vehicle, just by having an actual more like commercialized type paint color. But yeah, I don't know about what iconic vehicles happen after the 80s like this. I don't know. Good question. Good call. Yeah.
Like,
'Cause a lot of the
I just saw a Cybertruck for the first time like 2 days ago. Like, it looks cool from the front, but when you get to the side, I'm like, that looks ugly as shit.
my wife cannot stand them. But so you're going perfect film. Loki, what about you, my friend?
Yeah. It doesn't. And you know what? For as many problems as they had, I mean, you look at the deck that was stacked against this ever being successful, much less being a successful franchise. So not only did it have the fact that over halfway through production, probably more like 2/3 of the way, maybe 3/4 of the way, they had to stop everything and go, we have to have a new lead. Not only did that happen, but and I mean that's a lot of money to do that. But it goes on to have 2 more movies. Not only it has the rare honor of being like, we're gonna film both the sequels back to back. Okay, that's a rare
Whoa.
thing. Yeah, they did both movies. They as soon as they stopped filming 2, they sent it to post and they picked up 3. And so they went right into making 3 as soon as 2 was finished.
So did they hold on to it and not release it for a while? Like,
No. They released it in the summer of '89, and at the end of the movie has a very abrupt ending. When you watch, don't watch 2 unless you're ready to watch 3, because it's going to stress you out, SQUEEKA. Just so you know, it's going to stress
I'm
you
not
out.
that fragile. Okay, maybe, but I'm not that fragile.
Oh,
It's going to stress you out. I'm sorry, Loki's agreeing with me. It's going to stress you out. So you're going to have to make sure
You're
you're
gonna
ready.
cry. You're gonna
There's
first
going
of
to
all
be some
you're gonna
tears
cry,
in 2.
and you're gonna be like, no. What are they gonna do now?
Wait. But there's more. There's at least a tease of what's going to happen next, and that's what we got in the theaters. And I felt robbed because I was like, "Wait, hold on. If we already have more," but they hadn't finished. Yeah, I think they're all valid. I mean, here's the thing: I had to look up the numbers because I was curious. We talked about budget. We talked about all this. The budget for this movie is $19 million. It 20x'd. $388 million. If it 20x's, you're pretty much allowing them to do whatever they want to do. That is insane amount. That does not count all the merch, whatever they got. It's all the nuggets that Huey Lewis got along the way for the song and all that. The shirts, the posters. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's insane.
So they approved part 2 and part 3 before they ever started filming 2. Just so everybody knows that's like this is unheard of.
Yeah.
That is unheard of in Hollywood for them to go, you know what? Make 2 more movies. Go ahead. Here, sign everybody just 2 more films. We'll take care of this problem and this problem right now while we're doing this, while we're signing all these contracts. Get it done. And they sure as shit did. They made a lot of money.
Is that why they ended the first one the way that they did? Because they knew they were making a second one?
No. So they didn't have in the theaters. Now I never saw the original in theaters. In the theaters, they just fly off, and that's the end of the movie. It does not say to be continued. The to be continued thing didn't happen till it came out on VHS. Because
No,
by
I didn't
that
see
time,
the to be continued. I'm talking about where he comes back and says, "Hey, you need to come back with me. Your kids."
oh
are
no,
sick,"
no, that
or
all
whatever.
happens.
Yeah, that happens.
They do
Right.
that with the knowledge, like on purpose, because they knew they were going to have a second and a third one.
No,
I
they
think it
didn't know
was
they were
more
gonna
of a
have
hope.
it. Yeah, this is super, because obviously the feedback for it. Because so again, it's produced by Steven Spielberg. Love or hate Steven Spielberg, he had his finger on the pulse of what the audiences would want, especially in the 80s. He's in the heyday of knowing how to tell a story. He was sitting in that room. He looked at Zemeckis and went, "Yep, we got it. We got it. We got something special. Go tell so and so Universal to go pound some sand. We're good. You know what I mean? We're good. You know, that's how he was. And they were. So, hey, they're real Wade doing good. Good to have you, man. Yeah.
I think that was just more their hope at the end was we hope maybe we'll get picked up, but the to be continued thing, they didn't add that till it came out on VHS. And some people say that the Blu-ray, I don't know, I haven't watched it in forever. So
Well,
it's
the one I
of those
watched
things.
didn't have the to be continued.
Oh, interesting.
Then you
I did.
saw, I think that's the Blu-ray version.
Right.
Oh.
Hmm.
And that is one of the things that people are like, I swear, you say to be continued there. Yes, it did. But it did in the theatrical version.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely later. Well, Squeeka, so how would you score a movie like this? Because it's first time for you.
Well, I really liked it, but I'm only gonna give it like a 5 out of 10. No, I'm just kidding. It's like a solid 10 out of 10. I absolutely would watch this movie over and over again. I loved it. I'm excited to watch 2 and 3, but this was a really great movie, and I'm kind of sad I hadn't seen it before. But I'm also really kind of glad that I got to share it with y'all because this is so fun. Like it was just a great watch.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, man, Fred, that was a great. Yeah, this is a great gag. The peeping Tom gag, spying
he's
on
a
his mom.
peeping
Oh,
Tom.
so good. Figuring out your
What were you
dad. is
doing,
like-
dear? Bird watching? Huh? What
Yeah.
was that?
And
Anyway.
then they spell it out for you later, but it's never like
Street George.
Yeah, so good, so good.
What were you doing, George? Bird watching? What, Lorraine? What? Anyway.
Yeah, this is one of those movies where I have so much connection to it. Like it was so good in the theater, such a good experience. I mean, it just wore it out. Just didn't matter if it was the VHS, the DVD, the Blu-ray version. This is an every year perfect experience. And I have to be honest, I loved this so much that I couldn't not go on and watch the other two movies just because I knew I could just go through them really fast. Like I just know this. It's only I think they're both. I think it's only like an hour and a half or hour and 40 or and it's like they're not like they're 3-hour epics. So when I do the Lord of the Ring thing, I have to have a plan. I can't just wing it when I'm watching the Lord of the Rings in order. I have to have a plan because I'm going to be devoting 9 hours or more of my life, depending if I'm watching I'm usually watching the extended versions anyway. So I have to really have a plan of how much time I'm going to spend. But with this, just so much fun. So yeah, this is the automatic on the list for the infamous Loki and I talk about. We'll eventually get there. Maybe we should do like an anniversary one day. We'll just be like the most rewatchable movies of all time list. This is one of the early Hall of Fame entries. It just automatic ballot gets on the list. Most rewatchable. It does not expire. It's so you chuckle at Biff, who can't say idioms right. He's always tripping over his own feet with his stupidity. Your heartfelt moments where George is going to stand up for himself. The great moments at the dance, just Strickland being completely insane. You get mad over changes that are made in the movie when they try to show it on TV or Netflix edits it or whatever, because they've done that over the years. So yeah, that's Back to the Future 2 in particular made those headlines. But
I was worried I wasn't gonna a lot of the hype is nostalgia, and I wasn't going to be able to be part of that.
Mhm.
But it is a really good movie, and it's not the nostalgia that makes it that way. It just really is a great movie.
Indeed, it is.
And it's a period piece, and it's still a period piece today. Isn't that something? It's a piece on 1985 and 1955.
So how does it make you guys feel, the fact that that Marty, that the 1985 when the movie takes place is closer to 1955 than it is to today?
Don't remind me of that shit.
I'm 188 years old, so it's all relative.
You're killing the magic, Ironcaster. You are killing the magic. Do you know what you just said? You just said, Loki, you're old. I don't want to hear that shit.
I know I'm old, and I don't need some guy who looks as good as Ironcaster to tell me and remind me how bad I look and how old I am.
His luscious locks.
I know it's luscious hair. Like Mrs. Pops is having me grow out the beard and stuff, and all the night we talked about it briefly, and it's like I'll never be an Ironcaster. I'm going to be more like a Santa Claus. But look at it brushing on. Look at it showing it off. Just
Start calling him Hobo Caster.
I'm a girl and I don't even have locks that luscious. I feel really jealous.
Vidal Sassoon for men.
By Calvin Claude.
It's Calvin.
I even laugh. I know it's really gay of me to admit. I even laugh at the purple underwear joke. I have to be honest every time because it was weird in 1985 when you watched the movie and dude has on like purple panties and you're like, okay, that was weird, and it still makes me laugh to this day because of that awkwardness that we had back then. So yeah. We're going to go from Ironcaster's awkwardness of his brushing his hair. We're going to talk about the most awkward moments of this movie for me. That was one of them.
Maroon underwear. Dudes wore maroon and purple underwear.
Yeah, all colors. Then it got really weird in the 90s where they started doing like almost like silky stuff and like Speedo type stuff. I was like, oh my God, what are you guys wearing? Oh dear Lord. Ugh.
My best friend, his dad would go out and mow the lawn in his Speedo every Saturday, and I was just like, and I mean, we're talking about a big guy. Yes, he was a U.S. Navy vet, and I loved him. He was like my second father. But no, when you got like a big 300-pound dude mowing the lawn in a Speedo, and that's all he's got, and he's like waving at the neighbors and shit, and you're just like, yep, we got Cousin Eddie.
Yeah. It was full of some crazy stuff. I will say that it was nice to know that we've never had streaking coming back. However, we are now having naked chicks at the Grammys. So I don't understand what's happening, but that was the thing I thought we were never going to get, and now we're getting a little bit. Because I grew up in an era where they thought our parents and they would talk about streaking, and it was awkward. It was weird as a kid. I don't want to know about it. Didn't want to hear about it.
We're going streaking.
And there was a song. There's a song called "Let's Hear the Streak" or "Here Comes the Streak" or some nonsense about a song.
Yeah, I remember the song.
And yeah, so but with that awkwardness, we'll wrap it up. So it's a good one, guys. It's a good one, and we can only top it by SQUEEKA's favorite next week.
Oh, I don't know if I love Batteries Not Included, and it's a good movie and all, but I mean, now that I've seen Back to the Future, it's not Back to the Future is like for everyone.
Yes.
Batteries Not Included is kind of there's people that hate it. It's okay.
Oh, I don't
the old couple in Batteries Not Included is absolutely awesome. They also were in a movie called Cocoon and a couple other movies. They are absolutely awesome. Love them to death.
Yeah, I was told I should watch Cocoon because I like Batteries Not Included.
Yes, you should watch Cocoon. And Cocoon 2.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Sweet experience. Who we're doing Batteries Not Included next week. So, SQUEEKA, what's going on the rest of your week? What else is coming up? And
it's not as busy as last week. I don't know. I know that Beard and I will be playing 7 Days to Die sometime. I'm not sure if we're doing that Thursday or if we're going to try for it tomorrow. I know we're getting close to the end of our 30-day spat, and a friend of his in chat said it's going to be really horrible. So now we're both paranoid. So there may be a lot of Discord muting me because I'm shrieking on that stream. Other than that, I may threaten to pop into to Loki's stream again, but not sick this time.
You're always welcome.
And I don't know, just here or there, wherever awesome. I wander. But I'll be here next Tuesday.
We want Batteries Not Included. Ironcaster, my friend, you got something coming up with T-shirt, and what's going on?
Yeah, a little bit of Tuesday with Geeks coming up here in about an hour or so. We're gonna, I think, probably talk about the Fantastic Four trailer, and who knows what else we'll get into. Maybe I'll point out just how poorly Capcom sales are going. But you find me over at my channel where on Monday nights we do the Mech Bit Chat, where we're delving into all sorts of big robot stuff.
Yes, always a good time. Get mech and check, baby. Loki, YouTube talk tomorrow.
YouTube talk on Loki's Warnings of Mischief. Pay your damn tab. Not you specifically, but pay your damn tab.
Oh no, what's my tab at?
I
Oh,
don't even know.
No, you don't have a tab.
Yeah. All right. Something to look forward to. It gets me through my Wednesdays because I have to go to town. I know there's a couple people in comments and some people have sent me messages about tonight or tomorrow, whatever. I'm all hooked up because I have to drive to go into an office meeting stuff tomorrow. But YouTube Talk is part of what gets me through that. So I listen to it, usually after the fact, not live. But yeah, I got to get caught up. I watch I'm halfway checked and mech'd this week, but I'm not fully checked and mech'd. But I have a half of Ironcasters to get through. So yeah, always listen to everybody's stuff. And I love hearing SQUEEKA play video games and get attacked by just it is so real and authentic and genuine hearing her squeal and scream and yell and even curse. And I'm like, it is the best experience. I love it. I wish we could watch our movies together like this. I really
I'm trying
do.
to have less of a love affair with the safes, but it's just so gripping, the lockpicking
hysterical.
thing. I just, oh,
it's fun. It's fun. So I wish we could do movies like that. At some point or another, we're going to figure out that there'll be a platform that'll be just totally free for all, and we're just, I don't know. So I see people do some different things with it. I just still don't totally buy. They won't give you headaches after the fact because we almost always have headaches after the fact, folks. Yeah, sure, you might be able to get through the stream, but then after the fact, you've got all sorts of crazy, copyright strikes and editing, all sorts of nonsense. It's almost like not worth the hassle, but it's always good to hang out. So let me plug Friday because I got this guy above us joining me on Friday. That's right. Stone Loki will be on after Stone Loki's show. I know he's going to pull a marathon, hanging out with me after his show. We're going to talk Alien versus Aliens. Yeah, we're going to side these two up a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the debate. Is there really a way to pick one? Is there just certain characteristics one has over the other? We're going to try to talk about some of those elements on Friday, the Friday Popcast. We'll be here doing that. So yeah, definitely a big week. Now, Thursday, before we get there, been doing this first time watch experience with the Gourd King. Now, we've been taking turns. If you haven't been watching the experiences this week, believe it or not, I have never seen Master and Commander. Yeah, the Russell Crowe naval epic. Never watched it. Somehow just didn't see it. Never seen it. And Thursday, you will have my breakdown, my thoughts, my reaction, and that's what we do. We just kind of have a list of first time, and it'd be first time for me, first time for him. We just take turns. So we may do more of those. I actually have someone else who sent me something. It's like I've never seen, and I'm like, you know what? If you'll come back with me, I'll watch it. If you come back and discuss it with me, because sometimes literally I'm just watching it one time. You're not going to have a big thesis from me or analysis where I've watched it 6 times. No, just never watched it. So we like to find really good movies we've never seen, or we've been told they were good. And that's another part of the angle. It's like sometimes they don't live up.
Good movies. Oh, then.
No, we're not talking about Ironcast or Tubies until you start your own channel or a playlist that says to be or not to be. Until there's like a playlist, because then I'm down. I'm down to join you for to be or not to be, and having some sort of like only 1 hour, and I get a say in the garbage that I'm going to subject myself to. I will do it on your show. I'll do it on your channel, but we have to figure out a date and time and what the rules will be. Can be or not to be? Yeah, I got you.
Can we add a movie that all we want to see is like 15 seconds of the movie just over and over and over on repeat? Like, we don't want to watch the whole movie. We just want to watch this one part of the movie because this one part absolutely positively, almost like, what was it? Meet Joe Black. At the end of the movie, when he gets bounced off that minivan and dies.
When the vehicle runs over him?
Oh yes, just roll that part.
Okay.
I mean, that makes that movie like
all right,
great.
Work on a title for me. That seems like a perfect Friday Popcast with me. Like, we only want to watch this one scene. Like, so for me, it would be Deep Impact. Remember the Armageddon spinoff, the other movie that came out? Tay Leone gets wiped out by the tidal wave. They're standing there on the beach, and she just gets whoosh. That's it. I just want to watch that one scene, and I smile a little bit, and then I move on with my life for another 10 years. Yeah, I can see that. Movies in 10 seconds, 10-second movies or something. We have to figure out an angle on it. But there's a lot of movies that are like that. They have literally like one moment or one scene or something like that.
I've got a scene like that for myself. It's in Transformers 4 when TJ Miller gets turned into a slag of metal after spending half the movie trying to perv on Mark Wahlberg's daughter.
Oh God, I haven't watched that movie. So
about the entire like Shark Side of the Moon movie? We'll just throw the whole movie in there.
Is there?
Well,
But I think your point was that there should be like a 15-second. There's a one little clip that we want to watch. I don't need to watch it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea.
Yeah, I think we have to find the bad movies, but to say good for 15 minutes. So the best 15 seconds in bad movies. Movies that we hate or something like that. Because that was just the angle.
The A-side scenes from B-side? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, look at you. Like she got all heavy on me there. That was good. Really good.
As it turns out, it's all in the trailers.
Yeah, well, I talk about that with Tubi. Like, that'd be a fun angle on Tubi. So I'm not going to watch the movies, but I'd be willing to watch, like, the 30-second trailers for these crappy movies. Like, oh, and then we can kind of rank how bad the movies will be based on... Because if I had seen the trailer for Cocaine Shark, we all would have known. We just would have known. With that, folks, we'll wrap up there. So, I tell you what. Lots of fun times. Chat, you guys are amazing out there. I know there's so many comments I didn't highlight and get to. I apologize. I'm on a schedule and a crunch. I gotta get a nap in before I have my hectic drive and get ready for my YouTube talk and finish my mech talk with IRONCASTER and everyone. So yeah, good stuff ahead. Good stuff ahead. So everybody out there, you guys be blessed. Hang in there. Thanks again for hanging. And SQUEEKA, welcome. Back to the Future is make your life better. You'll be happier for it. I'm telling you, so good.
I know. I'm excited for the other two. I'm so excited.
You know what? If you can tell us about when you're going to be done with them, maybe we could just we could do it again. We could do it back because it is the anniversary of Part 3. It's the anniversary year of Part 3, so we could do a little 2 and 3 together because they're really just one movie. It just happens to be released separately, so we could do something like that if you're up for it. I just don't want to put pressure on you to watch them right away.
First one. I'm gonna rewatch the first one before I watch the other two because I want them all back to back.
Oh yeah, you'll get so many references. Yes, back to the future. Yes, indeed. All right, folks. Well, with that, we're gonna go back to the old school. Do our thing. Go out here with a high note. Be blessed. Talk hard.
Good night.
Bob Ross, you'll never see me tripping. Got the vision, I don't even need assistance. Bob Ross.